Well, hello, everybody. This is our second interview. And again, I'm doing these interviews because I want to have real conversations with parents who are also doing their part to keep pushing the disability and community living movement forward. I want to hear from their experiences and welcome, Cherise.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, and so if the viewer, we don't know each other personally. In fact, we found each other in forums or groups and found out we're parents and we had the same kind of insight. And that's how we connected and became Facebook friends.
Yeah.
And that's how we're connected. And it's, a superficial but deep understanding of each other. Welcome, Cherise. So, how about you share your personal journey as a parent and maybe a little bit about your loved one?
Okay. Well, my daughter, she's 26, she'll be 27 at the end of December now. And she had a stroke just before she was born, about 4 hours before she was born. It was a complete surprise that I had no indication that anything was happening. They don't test babies for that, and they don't test pregnant women for that. So it was a complete surprise. She was 2 weeks late. She was 10 pounds, 7 ounces. She was the biggest baby in the special care nursery because all the other ones were preemies, and she was just really big. And
Yeah.
I was sort of thrust into this world of disability all of a sudden with no one to help me. They sent therapists for her, but there was nothing for me. There was no support. And I remember even when she was in the hospital, going in and trying to establish breastfeeding with her, and she was sedated, and she had a nasal lavage, and it was hard for her to latch, and they don't provide you even with a bed to lay down with them,
Yeah.
and she the two lactations consultants came down and they were just like, oh, well, she's just too sedated, she'll never ever um breastfeed. And then I had my midwife out and she said, you're doing fine, and she did.
Mm.
She breastfed. um and and then it
Do you
was
want to
complete.
expand on her needs a bit? Do you want to,
Yeah,
and how that affected you? Like,
so as soon as she was born, she was having seizures, which is why they did an MRI to see that she had a stroke. They don't normally do that. And there's lots of kids that don't get diagnosed because they don't routinely do that for babies. And so she's got epilepsy, she's got ADD, she's got anxiety, she's got depression, she's got behavior issues. She has sight and hearing problems, gross and fine motor control issues, um, and yeah, and cognitive and developmental delays. Oh,
mhm.
uh, she's a mixed bag though, because she's also hyperlexic, so she could read really early, and she like people she posts on Facebook and stuff, and her vocabulary is fantastic,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
Saffron and her are friends, and
yes,
Saffron's confident. They've met each other, and that's another piece
yeah, yeah,
of this of what happens with families is
yeah.
our children then meet each other and they know this is a safe place to be who they are. And I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah, this AI thing, predictive AI, is working wonders for Saffron
yeah,
because of
yeah,
her apraxia. And I find Bonbon, right? Like that's her
yeah,
nickname. Yeah, so yeah.
yeah. So, um, yeah, so she's in this group that isn't well recognized,
Yeah.
right? And so there's no funding. There's no, if she wasn't diagnosed with the brain injury, she might have gotten diagnosed with autism, but they won't diagnose her with that as well. So,
Yeah. So
um,
she is not receiving CLBC
she gets
funding?
PLBC, yeah, she gets
Okay. Okay.
respite, and I have a microboard, development microboard for,
Okay. You is that microboard in place
yeah,
or yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
it's been
wonderful.
for a couple of years now. And yeah, so she uh but she's always been hard to find services for because she's a real introvert. So she doesn't
Mhm.
want to go to programs. She hates them. She hates them. And
Absolutely.
and all through school, she was in an adapted academic program and she needed life skills. And then she
Yeah.
found out life skills when she went to uh, high school. So,
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. That is a journey that I relate to.
right.
So this piece about microboard, so that's a like a person-centered society, a little bit.
Yes,
It's where the individual makes the decision. So
yes.
can I ask, and then just thought popped up in my mind, why did Bonbon choose the microboard and not go through an agency stream?
Because all the agencies that we've been through sucked. Um,
Okay.
you
Can you
know, like,
expand on how they
yeah.
sucked so the
So,
viewer would understand?
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I get it, but
yeah.
yeah,
Rowan doesn't like loud noises and busy places. And every program she was in, they had outings. And every time she had an outing, they would call me because she would not be doing well and I would have to get her.
yeah,
And and the last one she was in, we would just meet them at this library and they spent the whole time out and she hated that. She hated that, right?
yeah,
She
yes,
all her life I was told, oh, she never plays with the other kids. She's always in her own little world. And that is she's perfectly happy that way,
yeah, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so it wasn't until she was older and went to the developmental mental health, the developmental disability mental health, and the psychiatrist. I was saying, talking about that, how she doesn't want to go to programs and do this, that, and he says maybe she just doesn't like it. And this weight lifted off both of us. It was like she just doesn't like it. And I thought,
Yeah,
since then, I will not force her to do anything. I
yeah,
won't,
no,
right? Because
yeah,
it's not worth.
she's got a strong spirit. Even I
Yes.
picked up on.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
So I don't force her. If she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't have to do it.
yeah,
And that's what neurotypical people are treated like automatically, right? Like
yes,
if they
great
don't want to
point.
do it, they don't have to do it. And she's an
Yeah.
adult. She can make her own decisions, right? So
Yes, absolutely. So what's the future? So does she want to? Is that her choice? Does she want to keep living with you, or is she making plans of moving out? What does she share with you?
she wants to live with me. We have dogs and they're a big part of both of our lives. And
Hmm.
she's comfortable with me. We get along really well. I just
Yeah,
ordered her an electric tray and we put it together, the two of us, me and her,
yeah.
over the course of a week with no
Tricycle?
fighting.
You mean that tricycle?
Yeah, big tray,
That
big
I love. Yeah, I
electric.
saw that
Yeah.
she shared that. Yes,
Yeah, so
yes,
we put it together, the two of us, no fighting, just working together. And so, if she ever decides she wants to move out, then I will help her,
yeah.
right?
And that's why the back
Yeah,
microboard would be a great.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yes.
and she's
Okay.
on the microboard. She plays a part in the decisions and stuff like that. So,
That's wonderful. So are there other siblings? Is it just you and her? So is there a support network for you that supports in her wishes?
it's just me and her. We do have people in her life that are on the microboard.
Okay,
Um,
wonderful.
but she doesn't usually do things away from me very much, right?
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
she sort of needs me there to be the buffer for her on most things. So,
Yes. Right, right. I understand that. I do. It's interesting because we've really not had this conversation.
right.
Well, I don't know why we have, because I would love to know after this assignment. So she has friends, but she's comfortable on Facebook because I've noticed Saffron and her
Yeah.
engage and so that worked for my daughter, but
Yeah, she's on Facebook. She doesn't really have any friends in real life. Right now,
mhm,
just me. And
yeah,
she's had them, but it's hard if you're not, she doesn't want to go out and stuff like that.
yes,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. And supporting her mental health is the
yeah,
priority, right?
yeah,
As a primary caregiver.
exactly.
So what support do you get? So, I can see you're motivated, you're driven, and you really do respect her wishes. What support do you get, especially, when we look at I'm sure you're aware of the family movement was the origins of we like the
Yeah,
families started the conversation and knocking at the doors of the
yeah,
governments and so
yeah,
forth. And then now we have a disability movement where the self advocates have taken off with, which is rightfully so, it's their
yeah,
voice.
yeah,
But there is still, like, my daughter, she wants to live with me.
yeah.
So what about those voices, and as parents, and there are individuals who cannot express, like,
That's
who speaks for them?
that's
And if
right.
you, so I can you share in your insight and your experience on that?
So when I was writing my dissertation, I was talking about how we went from this system of care in hospitals where everybody was paid, the doctors, the nurses, the orderlies, everybody was paid, and we shifted it with no fuss because it saves them money to a completely free parent run
Mm,
thing. And so there's no support for me. I don't get any support. You
yeah.
don't get counseling. You don't get work support. In BC, they can fire you for in the first 3 months for any reason. They don't have to give a reason. They can just fire you. We
Yes.
can't move to get work in other provinces, which is guaranteed in the charter because of how long it might take to set up programs and services in other areas. And yeah, so we don't get educational support. We don't get anything. And
Mhm.
uh it
It is, it's defeating.
it's
It's
defeating.
defeating.
And
It
it
is.
makes me feel like I'm all for the self-advocates. Like that's great, but my daughter can't do that,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah, they're
so
wonderful people, and
yeah,
they're doing their voice, and it's
yeah.
wonderful. And as a
But they're
parent,
not
I
representing
support them.
everybody.
Yeah, like, but I think I saw working, and by chance I fell into the disability sector,
Yeah.
right? So interestingly, like, I'm observing through a parent's eye, and I'm
Mhm.
working through in this field, and I'm
Right.
collecting data, and these data points are saying, what about the family?
That's right.
And there's this sense of fear that there's a bad family. Trust me, I come from one. And I get it.
Yeah.
I got away.
Yeah.
But there are individuals who can't. When I look back, when I look back, there was no self-advocacy movement. We have that now today,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, right? So we have come far, but my daughter, I don't know, like, that's why I asked you about Bonbon. Saffron does not want to move out. I
No.
am
No.
trying this, and then, and at the end of the day,
Mhm.
what the effect is, just like you shared. I can't go out to work.
Yeah.
I have to start a business at home. I
Yeah.
have to, so these are the struggles that
Yeah.
parents like us. So I think, looking at that, what do you see from, as you are aware too, from the past to the present, the future? Like, what do you have hope? Like, what do you see needs to happen? Could you share your
Yeah.
insight thoughts?
Well, there's some things that I want to happen. I started a group on Facebook for starting a co-op for caregivers and people with disabilities to live together. So
I didn't
because it
know
would
that.
be,
Okay.
yeah, because it would be families, it would be naturally diverse, and we could have the people that we could hire people to come in and do support work and stuff too, and they could live there. And that's something I would really like. But people are so afraid of institutionalization that they just cannot wrap their head around that. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be an institution. We're going to be there. We're going to be there with, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But most recently, since I graduated, since I finished my dissertation, I'm starting this website. It's called Canada Disability United. Um, and the idea is to stop the silo of disabilities. So people that in wheelchairs and people who are blind and people who are hard of hearing, deaf and
Mm-hmm.
hard of hearing, and people like our kids, get them all
Wow.
together because we are the largest voting bloc if we just work together. We're larger
Yes.
by far than any other group, the with
Yes.
disabilities and their caregivers. And if we could just, we even got a smaller percentage of all of these people together to work together towards saying, you have to win us over. You want to win your election? Well, we make and break your election. So,
Yes.
what are you doing for us? And it can't be a charity because then we can't do political work. And the same with government. Like I think that's the most frustrating thing for me when I'm reaching out to organizations because they get their funding from the government, they don't rock the boat.
Yes.
They won't rock the boat.
Yeah.
And
They just keep it safe. They
that's
keep
right.
on the surface. I've
Yeah.
seen it. I call them the polite smiley faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the other thing is that uh, professionals have a role in disability service, but that role is a support and for us.
Yes.
And everything should be run by us and our loved ones. And so
So I've got to ask. I'm itching to ask. I'm
yeah,
listening to you. You're passionate. You got these great ideas, and you're doing things that I wasn't even aware of.
yeah,
Where does this drive? Where does it come from? Like I've watched you like on Facebook. I hear
yeah,
you commenting, and I'm just like, yes, yes. So
yes.
where does this passion, this drive, where does it stem from?
I've been involved in political stuff since I was in my early 20s. Um,
Hmm.
and in women's movements and supporting Indigenous stuff. And so it's always been a big part of who I am. And it may be a bit naive of me, but I just want to do something good for people,
Hmm.
and I don't want to be anyone's boss, and I don't want to have a boss, and so I want to,
Well, isn't that democracy?
yeah, well, and or for me, it's more socialism. Like,
Hmm.
one of the things that I'm deciding about this Canada Disability United is that the people on the board and the people that work outreach and stuff like that, hopefully, like that's my plan is to get more and more people will be paid,
Yeah.
right?
Isn't
And
that isn't that sad when you
yeah,
have this passion and you want to do, and yet you're like, okay, will this fit in with me paying my bills?
yeah,
That's
exactly.
just
Yeah,
sad.
yeah,
That is always,
yeah.
yeah,
But
wow.
I mean, that's the benefit of having a microboard. It's because now
Yes.
you're a legal entity, so it's a lot harder for CLBC and that to challenge your decisions, right? So uh, my
Well,
my
there's a way they can do it,
there's
and
the
I've
way that
seen
they
it.
can do it, but my
Yes,
thing
yes,
is take me to court because now not only do I have more lived experience than any of you, I
yes,
also have the academic chops, which was the whole reason I did this, right? So that
right.
I have the academic chops to be able to argue with them and
Yeah.
have that credential is really important to these people, right?
I
And
yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I think, like I'm very blunt. Like you
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
this, but
yeah.
I'm very blunt, and I think because I can write, as you saw my
Mhm,
blog, like I
mhm.
can write, but I've learned a lot of people, and maybe you can, weave into this.
Yeah,
I've met a lot of families
yeah,
who've had to sacrifice so much,
yeah,
like myself,
yeah,
like I'm furthering my education now.
yeah,
So I'm noticing like a lot of families like myself, they just got into training courses just to get paying bills
yeah,
because they needed to feed and look after their,
yeah,
exceptional needs child.
yeah,
So the system keeps them down. They didn't, so their language isn't as academic,
yeah.
and it's not that they're stupid
No,
or illiterate,
no.
or they just don't understand. It's gaslighting kind of a way that,
Yeah,
they'll see these technical terms and they're like,
yes,
okay,
exactly.
okay, they know what they're doing. I'll carry on,
That's
right?
why they write all these like really turgid contracts that do not have to be written in the way that they're writing.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the thing is like I've always known that because my first degree was a bachelor's of English lit, is that the main point behind getting a law degree is just to
Mm.
learn to speak the language
Yeah.
and talking because it's so weird. And so that was sort of my thing. So I got my bachelor's in English lit, I got my bachelor's in social work, and now I've done my master's. And it has been hard,
Wow.
especially this past one because
And that is the driving force. I'm so
Yeah,
interested
yeah,
in, like, is it that you're like, is it fear based? Are you terrified of your daughter's future? I'm only sharing
yeah,
that because that's
yeah,
how I am right now. Like,
yeah,
where are we? I worked in this system.
yeah,
I started like about 30 years ago, and I'm
yeah.
like, what is happening? You know?
I Part of me, I am very worried about what will happen when I'm not here, right?
Yeah, that's
Um,
a shared
yeah.
nightmare for us
But a
families.
large part of it for me is that, if there was any other group of workers, farm workers or janitorial workers or city workers that were being literally forced to work without pay, that would be illegal. It's
Yeah,
illegal. And
yes,
that we do it is illegal. And our jobs used to be paid jobs. So where did that
mm,
money go? Right?
yes,
So
yes, yes.
that,
The funding is another topic,
yeah,
right? I think it's the meaningful work that I'm interested in. Like I
yeah,
see these, like I'm thinking in my world, why do other people not see these
I
people?
know. Yeah.
Right. And it's like the family movement wasn't a few people, and a family movement never ended. You
No.
know, the families have been advocating. It's just voices have been
Yeah.
muffled
Yeah.
or placated, right?
Yeah.
So I just, and this is why I, invited you. I
Right.
wanted to talk to you, and I've like I don't know why we haven't done this already, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this,
No,
Cherise, and I feel like
absolutely. Yeah.
this is so if there is a parent or a family member or anybody, actually the sharing is universal and global. So if somebody watches this,
Right.
what message as a parent advocate would you like them to know? What would you like them to take away?
Um, I I would like them to know that if they have a friend who's got a kid like ours, to ask them about these things. Because I find a lot of people don't, they feel it's not right to complain, or they feel it's not right to, to vent about the daily pressures, and don't assume that you know what they're going through,
Yeah,
because they, when by the time we've been doing it for so long, for decades now, both of us, how many times
yeah,
have you tried to explain yourself to people and not had them really understand,
yeah. I always
or,
say I'm not
yeah,
depressed. I just do not have the energy
yeah,
to be
exactly.
amongst people who just don't get it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's one of the findings of my dissertation, is that what I think, and this is a low cost solution that could be implemented right away, is open spaces for families and our kids to get together. No pressure, no set, things,
yeah,
programming that they're doing, just for us to go and meet other people and be there with our kids and form just natural friendships,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
And
I have to conclude because I just want to we do have to talk more
okay,
for
yes,
I don't know, have you contributed anything like literature? Have you written a book? I don't know, have you contributed anything? Say somebody's watching this and say, I really am interested in Cherise's work.
right.
Is there anything out there?
Yeah, I did write a novel. Yeah, it's called Invisible Girl. It's published by Philid Publishing. It is sort of a fictional take on my life with Bronwyn. And yeah, so
Oh,
it
wow.
was published in 2015. Right now
Okay.
I'm working on, and I'm gonna ask other people like me, to contribute a book that's a love letter to caregivers like us, to say we see
Yeah.
you,
Yes.
and
I'm
we
working on my
yeah, so
yes.
yeah, and I want to be able to, and the other thing I'm working on is also a sex guide for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, in plain language, that talks just not about like how you make a baby, but about the
Right.
safety and the law
Intimacy.
and all these kind of things, and consent,
Yes.
and what is consent,
Then
and
yes.
yeah, and
Wonderful.
my plan is to put it out in like small chapters for the person, as they're getting older, they can incorporate more, right? Like, but so many of our kids end up in jail because it's a real problem. I wrote an essay on this.
Yes.
They commit against somebody because they didn't know. Nobody ever
Yeah. I know we're all learning,
Yeah,
even society. We can be criticizing each other,
yeah,
but we're all learning.
yeah.
And I think so. I think it's very important, and I appreciate you joining.
Thank you.
Um, I hope this box doesn't show, but it's giving me a warning.
Okay.
So, I really appreciate you joining me
I
and
love talking to
sharing.
you,
This
Sar,
is
and
wonderful. Oh my
I'm
goodness,
open
you've
to
given.
talking
I've
all
made
the
note.
time.
I've made notes to go and see
Yeah.
what more you have done,
Okay.
and you will be doing more. And I thank you as a
Thank
parent
you.
to a fellow mother, right? Mother
Yeah,
to mother.
yeah,
And
you too. Thank
yes,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I hope somebody learned something from this, and
Okay.
that's what it's about.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
absolutely.
Cherise.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank
Sar.
you.
Have a good
Bye
day.
bye. I'm gonna just stop first before.